I'm still of the impression that this was fate. This was predetermined. There's no way we could have won this game because Parker, you said it perfectly in that this was Brighton's Super Bowl. We took one of their best players. We took their
Player of
manager.
the year.
What was that?
Player of the year.
Yeah, took their player of the year, took their manager, took the majority of their staff, took their head of recruiting. And all we did was give them a guy who will never be on the pitch in Billy Gilmore and loaned them a player that we're probably going to call back in January and Levi Colwell. Yeah. So, yeah, of course they're going to be fired up for this match. All of those players are going to, try to give the biggest fuck you to Graham Potter that they can.
All I know is that is exactly what I would do. And that I would do everything in my power, if that was me, to say, I'm going to beat the shit out of you.
And my thing is, you have to expect that.
Samina mina, Edward Mende, Samina mina, Sam Sadate. He comes from Senegal.
And I think going out and get Saul was the top transfer of the market for Chelsea.
Chesney could have been in the shower smoking a cigarette like he was at Arsenal, and we still would not have scored.
My rants have been fueled by Scott. Don't get it twisted.
Big Rom. Man, fuck you.
In Roman we trust, right?
You and me are going to have a battle royale about Jorginho and diving.
The flag stays down!
Welcome to the Flag Stays Down podcast, powered by MobCraft beer. Make sure to subscribe, rate, and review on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. You've got me here, Andy. You can follow me on Twitter at Comiskey North. And with me tonight is a guy who could step in and play left center back, probably better than Mark Cucurella, Parker at DJ Parkour. And we have somebody who holds onto the ball less than Raheem Sterling, Matt at Matus Lee. Parker, how you doing?
A compliment, Matt, by the way. You don't want to hold on to the ball as long as Raheem Sterling. Feels like a drop the ball kind of a comment, but no, I think it was good stuff. No, I'm good, man. It was a pretty chill, pretty great weekend. And I'm ending my sober October just a tinge too early, so I could join you guys and cheers into a beer. So I'm excited to have one with you and to be here. Even though it was a less than stellar Saturday morning in Chelsea land, but hey, we live to fight another day. It's just one match, and here we are. Life's still good, boys. So how about you, Matthew? How are you doing today?
Been a busy weekend. Just trying to get done a lot of yard work and stuff like that. Had the trick-or-treaters around. Collins, I hope that Aiden was happy stopping by. But yeah, so just had some friends over and just kind of hanging out, handing out candy to everybody that stopped over. A couple adult beverages to the adults because, well, it's trick or treat for them too. I am wearing my Halloween costume, which is a Rudiger jersey. And yes, I will be very honest right now. Two things are very evident. One, I am not a soccer player. And second, which is probably the most obvious of all when comparing myself to Rudiger, I am not German. So just want to be very clear on that. But other than that, it's been a good weekend. So having a good time. Collins, how you doing?
I was not sure where you were going with that. No, I'm good. Yeah, took Aiden out trick-or-treating for goddamn almost 6 hours today. So reached my step goal, which was important, but I also reached my beer goal.
Which is even more important.
Right. Matt, how'd those Jello shots turn out?
Good. It was unfortunate that Total Wine opened at 10 a.m. and not 9 like I had planned, and trick-or-treating started at 1. So I had to make different flavors of Jello shots, which they take 2 hours to cool. And when you're running up against a time crunch, well, you have to get a little creative. So we made them work, and we still have some left over. So maybe I'll bring some next weekend.
Sweet.
All right. Well, as we do every episode, let's cheers to the player who wore the number of the episode that we are on today. Today is number 12, episode number 12, and that's a very not frequent number in Chelsea history here. So here are who we can choose from. You got Graham Lasso, Kerry Dixon wore it for 2 years. Everyone's least favorite ESPN FC personality, Craig Burley, is on there, and John Obi Mikel. Matt, who you got?
John Obi Mikel. You could throw RLC in there too, just because Parks has always been a fan of him for a long time. Yeah, John Obi, like hands down.
RLC will get the 36, which is the kit that I bought. I got to go with the first person I think of when I hear 12, which is my human victory cigar, which is John Obi. He was the lockdown person you put in the 67th minute when you were up a goal and you didn't want to concede, and it was just one of those kind of security blankets. He's an unsung hero, and the Twin Cities Blues cheers him and rep him like no other. He's got a picture up there, and so shots for Mikel is always kind of a thing. So got to rep John Obi.
Yeah, I'm in on John Obi Mikel. I like Kerry Dixon, but like you said, Parker, first person that comes to mind when I think of 12 is John Obi.
The man you bring on to drive the bus right when you want to park it. That is your guy.
All right. Well, let's cheers to John Obi Mikel. And tonight we're going to be cheersing with MobCraft's Too Legit to Wit. Cheers, boys.
Cheers.
All right. So Too Legit to Wit. It is an unfiltered Belgian style Wit beer. It's easy going. It's got a smooth finish with some subtle notes of fruit and spice. One thing that I will say, goes excellent with fish tacos. Last time I had a case, made some fish tacos here, and it's fantastic pairing. It is 5% alcohol by volume, so you can drink a few if you like, and they're delicious. Matt, what'd you think of yours?
Yeah, it's quite good. I'm a big fan of it. I do like. I am a little bit more prone to wit beers. I kind of like the fruit notes and a little bit of spice that comes with it. But yeah, it's a very good beer. I love having it, and I'm gonna have to go out and get more.
Parker, yours is coming next weekend as we take the Flag Down Pod on tour to Parker's house.
Yeah, the boys are coming up to Minnesota. The only problem, Colin, is I don't know if we're all going to get up for a 6 a.m. Arsenal match on Sunday.
Who says that we're going to get up? We're still going to be up.
That might be even more frightening, Matt. But all I know is I'm cooking breakfast. So if anyone makes it up, we're going to eat good. That's all I can promise.
Well, cheers to that too.
Cheers.
All right. Well, on tonight's episode, a couple different topics. We did have 2 matches this week, as we seemingly do every week. Had the 2-1 victory against Salzburg, which clinched top spot in the group in the Champions League.
Havertz has made a near post run. There was a collision between 2 players. It comes back to Kovacic. What a brilliant finish from Mateo Kovacic. Confusion in the Salzburg area. and Mateo Kovacic takes full advantage. Chelsea had several chances to extend that lead in the first half. They're under the cosh here, and Junior Adamu has equalised. A brilliant sweeping move from Salzburg. And the home side caused Chelsea more Champions League woe. And another route through the Salzburg defence. Pulisic trying to do just that into Havertz. Havertz trying from range. Oh, what a goal! Not a regular scorer on his travels, but he has pulled some finish out of the bag there.
And then over the weekend, I almost don't even want to talk about it, but hey, that's why we have a podcast. Get drubbed by Brighton at the Amex.
Trossard steps in once more now. Matoma working his way around. Shalabar Matoma to Trossard. Can he finish? Leandro Trossard! Brighton have burst out of the blocks here this afternoon. And Roberto De Zerbi's side get their reward. Front post delivery off the bar and into the net. Brighton lead 2-0.
Position and really kept possession well, developed their play higher up the pitch.
Macedo threads a wonderful ball to Estepinian. Real options here for Brighton, whose afternoon is getting better and better. And Ciso, he's going to go for it again, beaten away by Mendy. He'll get a second chance, pushed away, and Gross is there! And he wraps up victory for Brighton and Hove Albion.
And we did have a little bit of a debate, a little bit of a conversation starter in our group chat about the necessity for a wing back or how we should deploy our wing backs. So we'll hash that out on the pod here tonight. We'll start with that Champions League game against Salzburg. I loved that game. That was one of my favorite games in the Potter era, the short Potter era. Very creative, a lot of chances, not a lot of finishing. But it was one that we had to come back and fight for that win. What were your guys' impressions of that match?
Yeah, it was one that I felt like the script was written for it, which we've seen so many times. We squander a whole lot of chances in the first half. A lot of like begging chances to extend a 1-goal lead. It was Kovacic had the first goal, right? And kind of that swipe of a strike to the left side. And then, yeah, we had a ton of chances. And then, of course, halftime comes around. Salzburg comes out, scores on, some like 3 precision passes, and they take their chance that they get, right? And then they're like, okay, cool. This is how this is going to go. We're either going to lose or we're going to draw. We blew it. And then Cobra Kai comes out of nowhere, and a goal that no one kind of saw coming just happens. And Kai is able to just show and remind people who he is and why he is. I think most fans want him to be more consistent and show up in a big way more often. But man, the quality on that finish, it's top class. There's not much more you can say about it. And so, yeah, Collins, it was one of the Potter era highlights so far. I know it's only 9 games, 10 games, something like that, but it was a game in which I think a lot of people saw going a different way. The mood and the energy kind of swung in a different way, and we were able to kind of come back. And it's huge considering where we started off in the Champions League. First match we lost to Zagreb, and then we drew, I think, the second match to Salzburg. And we're sitting bottom of the group, and to have a match in hand, to have our last match against Zagreb this week, and to already have clinched top spot is huge. So that's the biggest shift that I've seen since in the Potter era, of the instant impact of what we can do, and kind of getting our sorting ourselves out, I guess, is kind of what I'm trying to say. Like we righted the ship. We showed the class that we should have against the teams that we should have showed it. The Milan matches were great, and then the Salzburg one was just kind of the topper for it.
Yeah, not a ton more to add. It was a good, hard fought win. I don't like the fact that we have to score miraculous goals in order to actually score in matches like that. I think that's kind of been a trend for, you could call it the last year, pretty much. We need ridiculous goals in order to even score. But at the same time, points are points. We're moving forward in the Champions League, so you have to enjoy that. And Parker, to your point, where we started this whole campaign in the Champions League, I mean, all of us were not thrilled or optimistic about what could happen. But the boys were able to fight through it and put themselves in a position where we can move forward. And yeah, so I'm excited to see what happens. But yeah, I mean, there's still some things that we have to figure out.
Yeah, and scoring worldies, I don't know what it was about that match, but Kovacic's hit was unreal. But I thought that was goal of the season when he hit it. And then Kai Havertz comes in with one of his own, which I later come to find out is his first goal at Chelsea from outside the box. It's an impressive stat, but I think it also speaks to our frustrations with Kai Havertz. He's a guy that we should be depending on more to score. But, it's taken him, about 2 years now to score from outside the box. And, he's not a proficient header of the ball. He's not the most physically strong player in the box. I don't know how that stat is even possible. But it's good on him. It was a fantastic hit from him. I think my two biggest takeaways, one we kind of touched on already, and that was, it was an exciting match. It was a creative match. How many 1-2s did we see? How many perfectly broken presses did we see? We looked like an actual football team. But my second big takeaway is Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Parker, there was a point where I was gonna laugh you out of the room for your 6 goals in the season projection for him when he had 3 in his first 5 games, something like that. He could have had 4 in this match on Tuesday, and I'm not sure if it's still him getting fully up to fitness. I'm not sure if it's still him adjusting to a new team, what the case is, because he's a proven goal scorer, or maybe it's just the curse of the number 9 at Chelsea. Not sure exactly what's going on there, but the dude needs to do better, because we don't have any options besides him. Armando Broya is there, yes, but he's another guy who is not exactly proven. So Aubameyang needs to start converting some of those chances, especially in a game like that against Salzburg.
The last thing I'm going to say is just about how big teams in the Champions League usually find a way to make it through the group stages, but not all do. And I'm going to take this moment to fully just shit on Barcelona. Barcelona was our arch nemesis in the transfer window, and they talked so much shit, especially when we went down, when we lost our first and drew the second. They talked so much shit, and all of their fans talk shit. And now the fact that they are, officially kicked out of the Champions League and going down to Europa League just makes me so happy. And they can't pay their teams that they bought their players for. I don't want to do business with them in the future. I want them to just go away and rot over there on the sides, because it just, they've been so annoying and such a thorn, and they kind of got what they deserved. So fuck you, Barcelona.
Went out and pulled all of those levers sold so much of their future banking on making it out of the group stage this year. Now, from what I've been reading, there's a possibility that they are royally fucked. So amen to that. Barca
couldn't have happened to a better club. Oh, I'm so happy.
My favorite is I don't know if you guys caught it on Instagram that Jules Koundé, like after our second Champions League match, posted a picture of himself on the plane with the caption of "I almost joined them."
Yep.
Yeah. Now you're in the Europa League. You can fuck right off.
They all did it, man. They were all noisy about it. They were all chirping when it was all gravy train in Barcelona town, and it karma's a real bitch.
Just another side note, because I love talking Barcelona. Did you guys see that they're gonna put Shakira's name or logo or something on their jersey for a match because of the Spotify thing, like they did with Drake's logo? So Gerard Piqué is gonna have to wear Shakira's logo on his chest.
Oh my God.
Man, and they get the fuck out of here for the season.
And
I love it.
On one hand, what they're doing with like a sort of interactive sponsorship with Spotify is kind of genius. On the other hand, I know that they basically have their pants at their ankles and they say, mother Spotify, do whatever you want to me because I am in no position to push back on you. You can have your way with me, man. They can't say no. They are their jersey sponsors, and then they're on the stadium, I believe. Like they own them, and I'm pretty sure they sold off a lot of futures to them as well. They have to do whatever Spotify wants. So Spotify's creative team is just going to be like, "Ooh, what can we do? How can we, make the best out of this? We get global, worldwide eyeballs on our games. Like we're going to take advantage of this." And I kind of love it because they are in a position of weakness, 100%.
If I might use a line from a very funny movie, in my opinion, Horrible Bosses. Just bend them over a barrel and show them the 50 states. And that is what Spotify is doing by putting Shakira on that jersey. Oh, I am here for it. I am so happy. I did not know that, but that made my day so much better.
If I could find one of those on eBay for cheap, I might pull the trigger just to hang it right behind me here.
Yes.
But through the wall of blue, just the one. I love it.
All right. Well, turning to a little bit of a more somber note here. We got our shit handed to us. We got shown all 50 states by Brighton this weekend. Easily could have been 4-0 in the first half. Couple chances, Thiago Silva clearing off the line, Kepa coming out and making pretty decent saves. Brighton just had our number, and I know there's a lot of talk just with the way Chelsea fans are. There's a lot of searching for the one sole individual who is to blame for a loss like that. Me personally, I think it's a perfect storm kind of thing. I think it wasn't in the cards for us to win. But I know there's a lot of people who are pretty salty about this match, and I didn't get a chance to watch it with you guys, so I'm curious to know what your guys' take is on that one.
My biggest takeaway is I have a very hard time believing that you cannot outbeat the team that you have assembled for years. Like, this team inside and out. Their tactics really have not changed since you left. And even if they did change, it wasn't a long enough time for those to fully take over. I just find it very concerning that as a manager of your former team, you cannot outmanage or you cannot plan accurately against the team that you basically built and the style that they play. You gave them that style. I think Potter got it absolutely wrong. That's kind of my biggest takeaway. Another side note is that we scored more goals for them than we did for us, which I guess which we've known for a long time that our defenders are our best attack, but we prefer to see it go for us, not against us. Kepa being taken off at half, I think he picked up a little bit of a knock with all the running that he was doing, trying to save the defense's ass and being out of position and everything like that. But I don't want this to be the end of Kepa and the start of Mendy. Like, I still think Kepa should be our number one. I'm just worried about how long Kepa's going to be out, and if that is one of those things where injury or whatever it is, if that means that he loses his place in the squad.
Ironically, I think it furthers the clarification that Kepa should keep his spot, because even though Kepa let in 3 goals and Mendy did not concede, I still thought Kepa had a better match than Mendy did, especially in the distribution phase of the game and just the management of the game. And, he came off his line to clear balls and made more saves than Mendy had to. So I think it further cements, his number one status for the team. But yeah, man, this was a comedy of errors from Chelsea's perspective. We had 2 own goals go in and we looked vulnerable. Collins will touch on the wing back thing, but I think it kind of plays into it. We played wing backs. I don't think they were operating as such wing backs because they were pushed pretty far up. So they're more attacking wingers than they were wing backs, which leaves just 3 at the back. Cucurella is not in his traditional spot, playing a center back position. And there's a lot of space back there, and we got exposed on that space. Brighton, to give them credit, picked us apart a little bit. And it wasn't just, that Salzburg match, it was 3 precise passes to kind of take us out and just capitalize on the one opportunity. Brighton had a lot of opportunities. Brighton took it to us. They came down and they were in our half a lot. They had a lot of possession and they created a lot of attacking threats. So you kind of tip your cap to them when they do that to you. But Matt, I agree with your sentiment, which was Potter got it wrong. I think we looked better with 4 at the back, and the second half proved that. When we went to 4 at the back, I thought we looked much better and much more defensive sound. Now I know Brighton's not going to attack with as much venom as they would at the start of a match where it's 0-0. If you're up 3 goals, it's a little bit different. You have a cushion, you play with that cushion. So I understand all of that, but our attack freed up a lot. And this is just one of those games where again, where you don't take your chances, you have a lot go against you. And Gallagher had that shot stopped, and then Pulisic got the follow up. One of those balls goes in, it's 2-1, and we have a much different match on our hands. And we created a good amount of stuff. I didn't see, I take that back. I saw a lot of good out of our team. Actually, attacking wise, I thought we looked creative, and I thought we set ourselves up for a lot of goals and success. But a couple of tactical errors in the back, and we actually got bailed out of a couple of tactical errors. You said it with Collins, with Thiago Silva making a couple uncharacteristic errors as well. That's enough to sway the match, and it's a lopsided defeat. It didn't really feel like a lopsided defeat to me, but it shows up on the scoreline as 4-1, so it's definitely lopsided.
Here's why I'm not willing to put the blame on Potter on this one. Again, like I said, I think it's a perfect storm of things. And Matt, to your point about, it's a team that he coached and managed and built and all that. I think Potter addressed that perfectly Friday in his presser when asked, does that give you an advantage? And he said, no, it doesn't. Like, yes, I know the players, but he mentioned that he's already seen in tape that this team plays in a different way than the way he managed. So, had it been a team that he managed and was currently managing, like, he's not the manager of Brighton. He's not the one putting out the tactics, putting out the lineup and all that. I think certainly knowing the players helps, but he doesn't. I don't think he's super familiar with the scheme they're running. He's not, familiar with the different offensive rotations they're running. But the same can be said going the other way. Brighton's very familiar with the way Graham Potter runs a team. And from everything that we've read and seen is that he's running Chelsea very similar to the way he ran that Brighton team. So of course they're going to know exactly what card he's playing next. The other thing that I think bails him out, so to speak, is the injuries. We've had to play Thiago Silva and Trev Chalobah just about every match at center back. And I think I said this hot take a couple weeks ago, Thiago Silva is starting to show his age a little bit. He can't play every match. And, for as good as Trev has been, like, he can't carry a defense. Now, Thiago Silva had some good moments, but he also had some not so great decisions that led to, I think, 2 goals that I can think of. So then you're asking Trev to carry a lot of the burden there. And I don't think he's that guy. He's good, but he's not that guy. The one thing I would say is that maybe the back 5 then is not your best option. How many times did they torch Cucurella over the top? Because he's a little guy and he doesn't have pace. I thought it was the funniest video in the world when they released the FIFA ratings and Cucurella was complaining that he had less pace than Jorginho. It might be true. He very well might. He got burned a lot over the top. So I think going back to a back 4, putting Cucurella in his traditional left back role would be ideal. And then you rotate Dave in and out as another center back. I had one other point. And that was the other thing, going back to Brighton knowing our players and knowing how Potter runs it. They went right after Cucurella. They went right after Ruben Loftus-Cheek, who's been getting a lot of praise from Chelsea fans. But we have been saying, shout out to Flag Down Pod here, that he's kind of a bit player. He's not going to be that go-to guy. I think Jorginho would have changed the face of that game. He would have calmed that game down a lot more, especially if you park him right behind that back 5 or right in front of that back 5. I think he calms the game. He distributes a lot better than what we did because our distribution out of the back was piss poor.
3 things. I'm so glad you brought all this up. So happy. Collins, I will save the one where I agree with you, sort of.
Jorginho.
For the end. I sort of agree with you. First thing, if you're going against your former team, right? Graham Potter going against Brighton, and the players know the system that you run, you need to do something different. That's just like known, right? Collins, you can understand this too. Parks, so can you. You're coaching a team that you were with, you go to a different team, you play against all the same players. They know the system that you're going to run. They know what you want to do, how you want to operate. You have to do something different to make yourself less vulnerable than what they all know. They know Cucurella. They know that they're going to attack them. They know that we are shit against the press. Everybody and their mother knows that we are shit against the press. You have to do something different. So for Potter, no, it is still on him. If you want to be an elite manager at this level, you have to account for all of that. So I do not give him a pass in this. I understand it's harsh because he's 10 games in and this is our first loss. I get it. But to get your ass kicked by your former team, like handily, not just, oh, they got luck. No. handily, they owned us. That is on Potter.
Can I
Second,
can I real quick?
yes,
Because I can kill that point right now.
please do.
In the Premier League era, if a manager has switched teams mid-season, that manager has never beaten his former club.
Doesn't matter.
In Premier League history, that's never happened.
I understand the statistics behind it, but I don't fucking care. Like, that's just like, you have to know, the players, you brought in the players, you train them to your style for a number of years. If you're playing against them, the players know how you're going to be. You have to do something different that they're not expecting in order to account for that. Yeah, it might be different than what the players are used to, but fuck it. They're professionals. They can adjust. So I still put that on Potter. Second of all, I had said very early on that when we talked about Cucurella versus Chilwell, I said, it's still Chilwell's spot. I said, Cucurella is doing fine right now, but he has not had great performances in probably the last 5 matches that he's been in. He's been the first one subbed off, unless it was an injury. He's been the first one subbed off almost every single time.
How many of those matches, though, has he played left back? He's played left center back, though, all 5 of those matches. So
again, I'm just saying, like he's the one, he's the one that always gets taken off, and usually he's not doing well. Is RLC in his right position? We don't know. We don't know what his position is. Is he a right back? Is he a defensive holding mid? Is he a center mid? Is he an attacking mid? We don't know. I understand we're doing it out of necessity because of injuries, but at the same time, I would have much rather seen Chills back there than Cucurella to start. And then if Chills plays like shit, fine, throw Cucurella back in there. I think Potter did it more for like an appreciation thing, going back to the Amex where Cucurella was, than actual, like, what would be the best fit, because we knew that we were going to get smoked down that right side. Solly March just absolutely torched Cucurella every single time he touched the ball. It wasn't even close. Third thing, Jorginho. I will say this right now. I did say that we need Jorginho on the pitch instead of RLC. Do I think he would have changed the game or slowed the game down? No, because we could not pass the ball regardless of who we were going to. We could not pass the ball to save our lives, especially early on in the first 15, 20 minutes. We could not do anything. I don't think he changes the game. We know how he gets under pressure, and we were not getting a lot of calls except for RLC somehow against somebody who is like 7 inches shorter than he is. But I don't think that he changes the game in that regard. I think, if anything, it leads to more falling down and then just loss of possession and possibly even more goals. I don't think he does anything in the positive side of the ball for us. Although, like I said, I do think that he should have been on, or he should have been brought on for RLC. So a backhanded compliment.
Yeah, I just think you look at how much Brighton pressed us in that match, and you compare it, even just to the most recent match against Salzburg, where we were being pressed probably a good 70 minutes out of the 90. I thought Jorginho did a great job facilitating breaking the press against Salzburg. Usually, he's the one who facilitates that. This season, he's been a lot more forward-looking. It's a lot less back passes, a lot less going back to the keeper, going back to the back four. The first look has always been forward, and I think we needed a lot of that. We had a lot of Ruben and Kova back to the ball, and then back to Cucurella or Thiago Silva or Trev or Kepa, which is what got us in trouble. So I think somebody with a little bit more of a steady hand, maybe not, I don't think would have influenced how many points we got out of that game, but I don't think we get shit on as much as we do if Jorginho's in that midfield over RLC.
Parks?
Oh, you guys.
This is sitting on the fence?
No, I don't have much to add. So I sit on the fence. The only thing I'll disagree with is Brighton had everything to play for in this game. I mean, this is their Super Bowl. And if you play for a team and your manager leaves and he kind of takes your full staff with them, and it was something special at Brighton where they felt like they were building something together. I guarantee everyone all week, all month had this game circled on their calendar. It was just that kind of a game. And it felt like it from the moment that it kicked off. It felt different, right? And the crowd played a massive deal in it too. If this game was at Stamford Bridge, I think it's a lot different. It wasn't. Cucurella heard it every single time he touched the ball. Even Conor Gallagher heard it every time he touched the ball. You know, he scored against them when he played for Palace, and they made their voice known. And it was just a game where they showed up. You know, they showed up, they showed out, they accomplished their mission for what they tried to do. And so the deck was a little bit stacked against us. I do agree that we should have done a little bit different, and I do put blame on Potter for that. But I also thought we created enough later on to make it interesting. I still had hope. Believe it or not, like 70th minute, I still had hope in that game. I thought that we had shots to equalize that game. I know we were 2 goals away, but there were many, many chances that kind of happened on, and it felt nervy in the atmosphere. You could it was palpable, right? Like you could just sort of see some tides changing, some stuff was happening. A couple balls go your way, and that's a different result. So it was bad. And I'll say this again, it was bad. It just wasn't awful to me, because I still take some good out of it, and it's a learning experience for the boys. So it is that.
So 2 things. I sent this in the group chat. I sent a GIF of what's his name? Michael Keegan Key? Is that his?
From Key and Peele.
Yeah. And he's doing a spoof of Michael Jordan where he says, "And I took that personally." That was the attitude of every Brighton player. It honestly was. They had something to prove. Second reference to the Last Dance documentary was everybody. The way that I felt and the way that I still feel about this team is everybody is still resting on the fact that they won the Champions League 2 years ago. Like, hey, we won the Champions League 2 years ago. Like, you should fear us. No. Right now, nobody cares. Oh, we're the Club World Cup champions. Nobody gives a shit. Like, I still feel like our players kind of have that mentality of, yeah, we're a really good team, so you should kind of fear us. Nobody does. I think that's probably the biggest thing that we have going against us right now is that, like, nobody's really afraid to play us. If you go back to that Champions League season, everybody was afraid to play us. Like, they did not want to touch us. Now it's like, oh, we got Chelsea on the schedule. Okay, cool. Fine. Just a regular game. We don't have that same type of drive that we did before. And whether it's because of the same players, different manager, like whatever, but you're a professional. You want to win, right? That is your goal. If you keep winning, you get more hardware. You get more hardware, you get paid more. Like, that's just how it works. Right now, it feels like we are still trying to ride the wave of what happened 2 years ago. And every other team is far beyond that, regardless of what their status is, whether we're talking about City, whether we're talking about Brighton. Everybody right now is far above us as far as their attitude and wanting to win. It's not something that we're used to seeing, and it's not something that I like to see, but that's just the feel that I get from this team right now.
So one thing, but another takeaway I had from this match was those third kits. And, you know, it's kind of like this season with these kits, we don't know when they're coming. It's like you open a door and there's a surprise behind it. And then the surprise is that kit. But you know what that reminds me of? It's the MobCraft Advent Calendar, which is now available and in the tap rooms. You can get it at your local liquor store. It's 24. You get 24 different kits, basically. All different beers. You got some collaborations in there. You got some flagships. Got some of their sours. And boys, I took a sneak peek at what's in there. I couldn't contain myself. So I opened it up and took a look, and December, we are in for some treats. So I do want to recommend to all of our listeners, if you're here in Milwaukee, head to MobCraft's tap room down in the Walker's Point neighborhood. Pick up one of the Advent calendars. Cheers to 24 beers. I guess if you're in Denver too, swing by a tap room there. Otherwise, if you're other places in Wisconsin, Illinois, Minnesota, certainly hit up your local liquor store, find that Advent calendar there. Parker, I know you got yours last week. I picked up mine yesterday. Matt,
mine has been ordered, and I am just waiting on the confirmation of when I need to go pick it up. So it is currently in processing, but yes, we are all going to be Advent calendar bros once December hits.
And I trust MobCraft a hell of a lot more than I trust Chelsea with kits. And I trust MobCraft will make better beer than Chelsea does kits, because those third kits, man, were not. I didn't really like them very much. So that was a bad Advent calendar on that one. Good Advent calendar with the beers. Looking forward to 24 beers.
And speaking of those kits, Matt, when's Mike coming on to explain himself?
So my parents actually stopped by today, kind of unexpectedly. They were in the neighborhood just kind of going around and doing some stuff, and they just kind of stopped by, and so they were hanging out for a while as we were doing some trick-or-treating and everything like that. But I haven't brought up the kits to Mike yet. That'll be a fun conversation this week when he stops over at some point to work on the basement.
I had my dad with me at Highbury, Mark, and first of all, he was very confused by what was going on. He's not a soccer guy at all. He thought we were cheering for Brighton. And then I told him we
are changing our support to Brighton FC with our sister club Chelsea FC.
Yes. But then I told him we were cheering for the team in the ugly beige uniforms, and he said, "Why would they ever wear those? Their colors are blue and white and yellow and red." And I said, I know, Dad.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's kind of all you can say. It reminds me of a line from Ocean's 11. Sorry, I watch a lot of TV and movies and everything. Both you boys know it. From Ocean's 11, Brad Pitt. Taupe is very soothing. Well, not on that day.
I just don't know how they can make such cool training gear. Like the Champions League training gear looks fire, and the black sweats with that same beige top with just the black looks awesome. And then they come out with this kit and they just stumble on their feet, man. I haven't had a year like this where I really don't want to get any of their kits. I don't like to get blue 2 years in a row, and I might have to because it's kind of the best of the three, but I don't care for those kits, man. I'm just not a huge fan.
Do we think now that the beige kit is cursed? Because I remember last year we were like unbeaten for the longest time in the yellow kit. And the year before that, I can't remember which kit it was, but it was every time we wore it, we would lose. Is the beige now, and we've only worn it once, is the beige, do we think it's a cursed kit?
We might not ever wear it again. All I'm concerned. It might just be the throwaway kit for the one Brighton match. So sure.
I'm wondering why you wear it in the first place. Like, it's such an ugly color.
I think you had to wear it in this one because Brighton's got the blue and white kit. So you can't wear the blue, you can't wear the white.
Don't they have a third kit?
I don't know. Ask Graham Potter.
They get to wear what they want first, and then we have to work around that.
So I'll save this for Pod After Dark, and I'm gonna get a lot of flack on this.
Uh-oh.
Arsenal did have a really cool training kit for their match today. It was the Arsenal Love Unites training kit. It was pretty sick. Like it's definitely a me type jersey, and Parker, I think you would be all about it too.
All right, so Matt wins man to get the fuck out of here for this pod.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I had to, like, I looked at it, and because I was kind of watching the game today, and I was like, those are actually pretty cool. Like, I can't even be mad at that. Like, I understand it's Arsenal, but it's pretty legit.
All right. Well, because of time here, we'll switch back to the script. Parker, you want to talk wingbacks? You want to get this topic going?
Sure. So I was just, everyone keeps calling them wingbacks, and the way that they're deployed is not in that way, right? It's just not the way that Pulisic and Sterling play are not as wingbacks. And even when they were kind of subbed into those roles under Tuchel, they were playing very far defensively and kind of getting the ball from the center backs and taking it up. And this is not the role that they're playing right now. And it kind of opens up some doors and avenues if we want to explore it. But like a Ziyech plays much better in like that more advanced wing on like the right side, right? We always kind of criticized him for his defense. And if he's not defending as much, then sure, like pushed up on that wing, getting balls into the box, that's much more of a favorable position. It worked extremely well against Salzburg. It did not work at all against Brighton. Brighton kind of took advantage of the weaknesses of it, which is, on the flanks, you're exposed, right? Down the sides, it leaves a lot of open space. I guess my open-ended question or debate topic would be, do we think that this is a system that can suit us well? Or do we think that this is just a necessity right now with like some of the injuries that are going on? Like, do you think that this is something that we can work in as a legitimate option for us going forward?
I think the jury's out until we have Koulibaly and Fofana fully back. And Koulibaly apparently was in training this week, so he should be back for the Arsenal match. But Fofana is still going to be out for a couple weeks. So I'm willing to reserve judgment on what our best formation is. But for the time being, get Raheem Sterling out of that position. Put him centrally if you need to. He didn't look good. Cucurella doesn't look good at the center back position. Like, you can throw him there if you really wanted to. Pulisic didn't look all that great this week in that wing back position. And I honestly think injuries play a huge role in this. So if we go back to a back four, I would be happy at this point until Fofana, Koulibaly, Reece James are back. Then you're going to see what our best system is. But right now, I don't think we have the personnel to deploy that formation.
For me, it's got to be a back four. It has to be. Like you still have Dave, right? Who is a natural right back. You still have him. Didn't come in. RLC is not a right back. Sorry. He is not. I thought he had a terrible game. Why not play him? Like, if you're going to switch formation and if you're going to put Cucurella in his right position, take off RLC, move Dave to the right wing or to the right back position. Argument could be made if you slot Mount back there. He, I think, would be the better option to be in that position if you're only looking to make one sub. If you're only looking to make one sub, then you slot Mount back there, and then you still have Kova, and then you have Raz, Kai, Pulisic. I think that would have been the better option. But, I mean, Cucurella was shit. Like, he just was. He got torched so many times. His passing was not great. He can't track back. Everybody's going to burn him on the wing. It just did not look good. And again, it's Potter's first loss. So I'm trying to keep a level head on that. I mean, he's done a great job so far, so I don't want to like over exaggerate one loss and, call for his head. It's just the fact that it came against the team that he left and we got our ass kicked. That's what I think kind of exaggerates the point. I think a back four is the way to go. We need to get away from this back three. That's really the only thing. I don't think that we have the players that we need. And I'll say this, regardless of injury, I still don't think that we have the players that we need to be able to run a consistent back three. Koulibaly is what, 30, 31. Silva's 38. Trev can't play every single match. Fofana, he's been injured, twice now in the last year, and pretty decent injuries. So, you start bringing into question, what's his durability? Is he going to be able to hang, regardless of the fact that he's, 21, 22 years old? It really doesn't matter at this point. If you're injury prone, you're injury prone. Like there's no way around that, right? We're seeing that with Conte. I think a back four with more rotation for our center backs is going to be the best option based on what we have. Obviously with Reece being out, it's a little bit more difficult. We're going to be expecting a lot more out of Dave in that right back position. RLC can slot there, but I wouldn't like it. But he's the only other person we have kind of out of necessity. And then you have Cucurella and Chills. And I still to this day think that Chills is the better option. But you get that figured out, and I think a back four is kind of where we have to go. And we've been finding ourselves losing the midfield battle a shit ton. And it's always first half, we try the back three, and then we go to a back four. We start winning the midfield, and then we start getting more chances on the attacking side. Like, why wouldn't we just stick with the back four?
I think Collins, you hit it, where this system can really have legs once we have the proper defenders as our center backs. And I mean, to not beat a dead horse, but Cucurella is not a center back. So we got exposed in a big way down that side, which kind of blows up the whole system. So maybe not try it when we have him, but if we have 3 proper center backs, Matt, I think we can win the midfield, because now we've got 4 in the middle and you can outman and outnumber them in the middle. So our midfield can actually win that tussle a little bit more and then push forward. And then our defense is still relatively short up. So I think it has like some promise. I'm actually optimistic of the structure, but we just haven't seen it work in the proper way with proper personnel. So I think it could work pretty well. I think we attack better and more freely when we have that structure, and we've got more attackers, and I think we can kind of outnumber them and win certain battles. Because then like Kai gets more into the attack and Mount gets more into the attack, and like they're involved in more of the 1-2s and the plays and the creativity, and those are some of our best creative guys. So it leads to better opportunities.
So here, go ahead, Matt.
Real quick. So the one thing that I will comment on based on what you just said is with Kai and Mount, they operate in the middle. Our wingbacks are so far up as part of the attack that it's ungodly to ask them to track all the way back. And I think that's maybe a tactical thing, because, you know, when was the last time that outside of Reece James, which obviously we know he's out, how many balls do we see coming in from Cucurella or Chills on that left side? We really don't see a lot. And the thing is, they're forced so far in attack that it exposes that back 3. And whatever back 3 that we have is not sustainable against, you know, a younger crop of individuals, so to speak, to be able to get back. And Jorginho is not going to be your first option to try and track back. And if Jorginho and Kova are playing, Kova's going to be more forward, which means he's going to have to try and bust ass to get back. It to me, based on what we have as far as everybody healthy, I don't see it as a legitimate option, only because our back 3 is still a little bit unsteady.
So let me propose this alternative to you guys, because we've seen Raheem Sterling at wing back, we've seen Christian Pulisic at wing back, we've seen Kai Havertz, I think at one point was technically a wing back, playing on that left wing, subbed on, or I remember
you pick anybody, throw him at wing back.
But
Ziyech might have played wing back at some point too.
He actually was in this match against Brighton. So how about this? How about a 3-4-3 where your wing backs are Ruben Loftus-Cheek and Mateo Kovacic?
No.
So you're loading up your midfield to win that midfield battle. You've got 4 across in the midfield. You've still got your wingers ahead of you in the 3 in attack. And in an ideal world where people are healthy, you have your, Koulibaly, Silva, Chalobah, Fofana, Gvardiol when we get him in January across that back 3. Would having midfielders where we have a lot of quality midfielders playing that wing back role be preferential to playing guys who don't play defense in that wing back role?
I mean, I don't like the options that you threw out. I'll just say that. And
you don't like Ruben Loftus-Cheek as a wingback? You just said like 10 minutes ago that he was.
I said he can.
Yeah,
he can. He's not going to be my first or second choice. Kova, no. You need him centrally in the midfield. And if we're talking everybody healthy, then you're going to have you're going to have Reese back. You slot Dave in that wing back position to give Reese a break. Then you have Cucurella and Chills on the left.
Well, yeah, I think we can all agree that when we're all healthy,
right,
like those are your wing backs. I'm saying in the absence of a Reese James, with a Ben Chilwell who is clearly still recovering, or else he'd be getting more playing time.
I personally would not take Kova out of the central mid position. I think that's where he does his best work. I mean, RLC is already playing as a right wing back ish type thing.
Okay, forget the names. I'm talking more like position, like
your
center mids,
3-4-3 or putting a 3-4-2-1.
Throwing your center mids as your wing backs, or throwing two center mids as two wing backs.
No.
So you would so you would rather have Sterling and Pulisic?
Yes.
Here's why.
Yes.
So in the way we ran it with Tuchel, I'm going to do this visually for you guys. I'm going to have to try to articulate this for the podcast. Before, we had three in the middle, kind of tight, and then we had the wing backs on both sides that sunk back and defended. In a 3-4-3 that we're running right now, I see our three spread out more, covering more width, and then the two central midfielders sinking into those gaps. So we've got three spread and then two that kind of like hug in as like central defenders, but as midfielder roles. So like a Jorginho and Kovacic would fit into there. And then you have your wingers, running up and down the wing. And so Kova would be less involved in the attack. And I know he is right now, but he would be less involved in the attack in this, and you'd be a much more defensively focused role there. But he's more of like the pivot. And once we sort of win possession, we get it out to wings, and then we have more in the midfield from an attacking sense. And it's less of Kova's job to distribute that in attack. That's kind of how I see it going in a sort of ideal future. But I do want to also read this tweet because I saw this and loved this, and it talks to you, Collins. Liam Twomini said, don't know about you, but I get the impression that Graham Potter believes there's a little bit of wing back in all of us.
I think you can post that. You can post that GIF where it's like, it's a Chelsea thing. Because that was always the question with every player that we signed this offseason is, well, can they play wing back?
I mean, put Broya as a center back for Cucurella and you have my vote.
I actually don't hate that option at all.
Give me a powerhouse back there.
But also
got to pick up for Rudy.
Hashtag we miss you, Rudy.
I'll save that point for Pod After Dark because we are pushing time here. But let's real quick go man of the match for this week. Every week you can catch our polls. We run our man of the match, which is the best player of the match, and our man of the get the fuck out of here, created by our very own Parker, which was the worst thing of the match. So we had two matches this week, as I mentioned. We'll start with our man of the match poll.
Mason, right at the heart of that, man of the match. How good a Chelsea performance was it?
Yeah, I'm quite surprised I got man of the match, to be fair.
Man of the match for the game against Salzburg. Gun to your head style here. We had Mateo Kovacic, Trev Chalobah, Kepa Arrizabalaga, and Conor Gallagher. Parker, who are you taking?
Kovacic. First goal. Give it to me.
Kova, my boy.
I had Trev. I thought Trev made a lot of key defensive saves, so he was my pick. Trev was your man of the match with 50% of the vote. Kovacic and Gallagher tying for second, and Kepa coming in third. Against Brighton, not a lot of choices here. We left it with two choices. You had Conor Gallagher, or you had the goal scorer, Kai Havertz. Parker, who you got?
I thought Gallagher was our only good spot. So, yeah, Gallagher.
Connor.
I also had Connor, though he only won 60% of the vote. Shout out to Saheb Laik, who said that Mason Mount should have gotten it over Kai Havertz. Don't know if that was sarcasm, but okay. I didn't even know Mason Mount was on the pitch in that match. So props to you for following him on that. Let's turn to our man of the get the fuck out of here poll.
Shut your fucking mouth, you'll do nothing. You'll do fucking nothing. Not one of you will do nothing. Get the fuck out of here.
So against Salzburg, we had number 1, not killing the game off. Number 2, our finishing. Number 3, Aubameyang not finishing. And number 4, the early kickoff. Matt, who you got?
I would have to go with Aubameyang, but I feel like I could lump in finishing as a whole with that one.
Yeah, not killing the game off for me, but they're all similar and related, right?
I don't know why I put early kickoff on there. I loved it because I didn't have to miss any of the game to go pick Aiden up from school. Mine was Aubameyang finishing, and that was your man to get the fuck out of here with 43% of the vote. Not killing the game off was at 35, finishing was at 15, and early kickoff coming in 4th with about 7. Man to get the fuck out of here for the Brighton match was broken down positionally for you. Was it our attack, our defense, our midfielder, our midfield, or your keeper? Matt?
The attack.
Social?
Pot after dark.
Can we drink for all of it? I said the defense.
I had the midfield. Midfield really did not do anything for me in that match, and that was your man to get the fuck out of here with 2/3 of the vote. Defense with another third. Attack and keepers bringing up the rear here. So, boys, we are pushing the hour mark here. Any closing thoughts from you, Matt?
We have more games to play. It's going to be a rough schedule coming up, but we'll see what happens, and we'll endure what we have to. That's why we have alcohol.
Yeah, hopefully we can get some rest in a meaningless game against Zagreb and really put out our best foot forward against a team in Arsenal that looks like it's relatively threatening. So I think we save this week for that.
All right. Well, if you have enjoyed what you watched today on Twitch, and we are back on Twitch most Sundays, please give us a follow there. Feel free to shout out in the chat, and we'll certainly shout you out on the pod. If you're busy on Sundays, or if you like to listen to the podcast version, you can catch us anywhere that you get your podcasts. All that we ask is that if you do listen to us on Spotify or Apple, is that you subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. It takes no more than 30 seconds, and you can talk all the shit you want, but you can give us 5 stars. We'd really appreciate it. You can also follow us on social media. You can follow the pod at FlagDownPod on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can follow me, Andy. I'm at Comiskey North. You can follow Parker at DJ Parkour and Matt at Matus Lee. And finally, if you have any questions, comments, or anything that you want us to cover on our weekly pod, you can always shoot us a DM on social media. Or, like I said, come join us on Sunday evenings, jump in the chat on Twitch. So that's all I've got, boys. Let's toast to more games to play, and let's rest and recharge.
Cheers.
Cheers.
I'm all potted out.